All right, Algebra 1A and 1B students, welcome to your first video, your intro video, where we're going to kind of go through and see what the videos in this class look like and what you can expect and what I'm expecting of you when we are watching videos. In this video, we're going to talk about how to add fractions, how to add two fractions together. And before we get to the actual adding of fractions, we need to talk about a few vocabulary words that are going to be really important for the rest of our video. So the sum, when we are asked to find the sum of two numbers, S-U-M, that really just means the answer to an addition problem. Okay, so the sum is the answer to an addition problem. So add the two numbers together, find the answer. That is the sum of those two numbers. In each fraction that we're going to deal with in this video, we have two numbers in a fraction. The numerator is the number on the top of the fraction, and the denominator is the number on the bottom of the fraction. Okay, so numerator on the top, denominator on the bottom of the fraction. Those three vocabulary words are going to be really, really important for understanding the rest of this video. Now, when we want to add two fractions together, when we want to find the sum of two fractions, the most important thing is having the same number in the denominator of each of those two fractions. Okay, so in certain cases, they're not going to be the same right away, and we have to make the numbers in the denominator be the same for the two fractions. Okay, the logical question then is, how do we do that? Well, we have to multiply the numerator and denominator of the fraction by the same number to change that fraction. Okay, we want to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number so that we can change the numbers that are in the fraction, and we can deal with then getting those denominators to be the same. So for example, if I have 4/5, 4 over 5 as a fraction, a 4 in the numerator and a 5 in the denominator, it's perfectly okay if I want to times the top and bottom number by 2. Okay, this fraction is going to be totally equivalent. 4/5 is going to be exactly equivalent to 4 times 2 is 8. And 5 times 2 in the denominator is 10. Okay? So 4 times 2 is 8, 5 times 2 is 10. We have just changed that fraction to something that is totally 100% equivalent to 4 over 5. 4 over 5 and 8 over 10 are totally the same thing, and we can use 8 over 10 to add fractions together if we start with 4 over 5. Now here's what that looks like in an actual problem when we're being asked to add two fractions together. Okay, so here we're asked to add 2 over 5 plus 3 over 10. Now notice that the 5 right here and the 10 right here are not the same number. We need to change one of these numbers so that it becomes the other number. Okay, now the way we do this is we make the 5 into a 10 by multiplying, just like we did up there. Okay, and we should remember that to change the 5 into a 10, we times it by 2. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing down here. I'm going to times the 5 by 2. But whatever I do on the bottom of the fraction, I have to also do on the top. So I will times the 2 by 2 as well. So now I've changed the problem. I left the 3 over 10 exactly the same over here. Okay, I'm not going to change the 3 over 10 because I'm turning the 5 that was in the denominator of the first fraction into a 10. Okay, by timesing it by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay. And 2 times 2 in the numerator, that number has to change as well. Okay, we can't leave that as a 2 or it's a totally new and different fraction. But if I times the 2 by 2 as well and make it 4, now we have 4 over 10 instead of 2 over 5. The reason that's very good news for us is remember our very, very important thing from up above, and that was to have the same number in each denominator, which we now have. There's a 10 right here, and there's a 10 right here, which is good news because now we just add the two numbers in the numerators together, the 4 and the 3. What is 4 plus 3? Well, that is 7. The denominator stays a 10, and we have our answer right. Okay, 7 over 10. So when we add two fractions, the first step is to multiply the two numbers, numerator and denominator of one fraction, times some number to make the denominators be the same. That's our whole goal here, is to make the denominators be the same. Then we can just add the two top numbers across and not worry about changing the denominator at all. 10, 10 stays 10 here. Okay? I'd like you to try a couple on your own now. So I have two problems here set up. One where I want you to times this first fraction here, turn the 4 into an 8. One where I want you to times the second fraction, turn the 2 into a 4, then add the top numbers and see what we get for an answer. So pause the video now. Let's take a look at these two problems, and then come on back when you're done, and I'll show you what we should get. Okay, this first fraction, we need to times the first fraction by 2 to turn the 4 into an 8. So I times by 2 and times by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 3 gives me 5. So I end up with 5 over 8 because the 8 stays the same on the bottom. Now in the second problem, we need to times this 2 times 2 to make it into a 4. 2 times 2 will give us 4 over here. And then we have to times the 3 as well by 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 3 gives me, for that, 9 over 4. The 4 does not change, it stays the same. So adding fractions is really about timesing by a number to make the denominators the same, then adding the numerators, the top numbers, together, and getting our final answer. If you have any questions, please make a note to ask me in class right away tomorrow, and I'll try to answer those questions for you before you work on your practice problem set. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful night.